We are going to move on to
police
our
shooting a
first segment.
13-year-old
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Lightfoot's plan to curb suburban violence includes focus on 15 high violence beats. Now, if you're looking to do something strictly about reducing the violence in a way that will not be sustainable or achieve long-term goals, then this is it. This is the plan. This is how you do it. There's no doubt that much of the crime and violence, much of it, has been for years concentrated in certain zip codes, on certain districts and police districts, in certain community areas, in certain beats even. There's no doubt about it. And flooding those beats with temporary resources are going to bring you temporary change. This may be more than Rahm did. This may be more than Daley did. It is still an epic, unprecedented, unbelievable, long-term failure. Failure. This is theater. Slightly better probably than the Rahm Emanuel Theater and slightly better than the Richard Daley Theater and all the people that came before them. Slightly better. But this is not a long-term solution. There's this mythology among the powerful in Chicago, and specifically most of the North Side in Chicago, the rich in Chicago, the business community in Chicago, the loop in Chicago, that if you just reduce the violence in certain areas of Chicago, that will magically create the circumstances for economic growth in those communities. Long-term, sustainable, meaningful economic changes in those communities. It won't. There are not vast economic differences between the communities the beats that have the high rates of violence, those really high rates, and the ones that have slightly lower, and then maybe slightly lower than that. There aren't vast economic differences. Much of the South and West Side have been economically frozen out of all the economic benefits of living in Chicago, all of the benefits of being employed by the Loop and all the technology jobs at Google and Groupon and all that crapola. It isn't going to make long-term change. What Mayor Lightfoot is saying, what Rahm Emanuel said, what Richard Daley said, there's no difference almost between any of it, is that the poverty is fine. It'll magically change if we just reduce the numbers. It's just about bad decisions these people are making. And if they just made better ones, the economics will turn around. It won't. It won't. Anything we can do to make the lives of people on the South and West Side better is great. But don't blow smoke. This is not going to last to meaningful long-term solutions in these communities. This is another Band-Aid. The mayor of Chicago controls TIF funds that at least in 2019 collected almost $1 billion. She could, with a sweep of a pen, end TIFs, first of all, in Chicago. She could end them all and return all that money back into the general fund. Or she could declare it all excess money, right, and invest it in the South and West Side for meaningful long-term change. That don't make the business community in downtown Chicago happy. It doesn't make most of the people on the north side of Chicago happy. That's not why they voted for her. And the people that wanted long-term economic change in this city, that thought this progressive Lightfoot was going to deliver it, she ain't. She ain't. We have 730 plus days now, I think, of just her not doing it. So let me give you a couple quotes. Here's one. We owe it to all our residents in every neighborhood in Chicago to bring peace and vibrancy back. So if you reduce violence and you don't change the economic conditions of that community, you don't improve the schools, you don't improve jobs. Vibrancy is just going to come. Poverty is irrelevant. It's insanity. It's insanity. This is theater for a Band-Aid to make the numbers go down, whatever it takes, theater-wise, of course. Let's be real. We can't get outside the box, right? Just bring the numbers down so she gets reelected. That's it. The neighborhoods aren't going to change just by what she's trying to do here. Here's another one. Here's another quote from, not from Mayor, but I think the last paragraph in the story. Perhaps most significantly, Lightfoot also has stressed the need for police and city officials to cooperate with street outreach violence interruption groups. Traditionally, police and other officials have met those groups warily, but Lightfoot has spent millions of dollars supporting community outreach groups. She has somewhat. You know what? Chicago cred, Ready Chicago, and the other one slips my mind. We had representatives from those groups, 3 of them, on this show. You can look in the archives. We talked about it, and they talked about, yeah, great. She increased from $1 million to $30 million or something, or $36 million that she's spending on various things related in these communities. Wonderful. That's awesome. Ain't going to make a damn bit of difference. It's better. It's slightly better. But long-term sustained change in these communities and actual poverty reduction so that you can empower the communities to have the resources to do the changing themselves? Nope. They said it themselves. The group said it themselves. Ain't going to happen. Is not going to happen. This is all theater. Don't ever forget it. This is all electoral political theater. Now, she may care about some of these communities and wanting to reduce violence, but nothing she has proposed is going to lead to meaningful change in these communities. It's not. And the fact that she's going to magically get the police and street outreach organizations to work together, that's great. They don't build schools. They don't create jobs. They're not empowered to bring 20, 30, 40, 50 million of economic development into these communities. The mayor is. They're not. But she's pushing it all towards them. Really, fundamentally, no change. Fundamentally, for the long term, there's no change. It's just theater. It's sad theater for us, but it is nothing but theater. It'd be nice if we really had a progressive in the office that was going to, first of all, end the tax increment financing program, return the $1 billion to the general fund so it could be voted on by city council about what happens to it, but also invested in the south and west sides for meaningful long-term sustained change and creating jobs. But that doesn't interest the Loop and the Civic Alliance and large swaths of white Chicago. So, we're going to move on to our second segment. We're loaded. Everyone's loaded today. So, the title of this, it's a report from Channel 5. Chicago police announced changes to the department's foot pursuit policy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, remember that the police shot and killed Adam Toledo in a foot pursuit. And I said at the time, much to challenge what was the view of the left, that almost no foot pursuit, if not all foot pursuit policies in place in America, would have stopped that foot pursuit. Supposedly, right? We have to say supposedly because we're not sure. The allegations are that the gentleman, the adult that Adam was with, used the gun to shoot at a car 8 times that was moving and had people in it. Shot spotter and 911 calls brought police to the scene. One of the responding officers, because they often look, knowing it's going to take time for them to arrive and the shooter is most likely fleeing, they look, as they're arriving, getting closer to the scene, they start looking for people fleeing. They see Adam and a gentleman in an alley. The officers get out to engage with them. Who knows what they were actually planning on doing. What happens? Adam takes off. Adam has the gun in his hand. There's a foot pursuit down an alley. He never loses sight of Adam. They don't run around corners. It's straight down an alley. Adam turns, dumps the gun, but in the split second, the officer either doesn't realize it or doesn't care and shoots Adam, kills him. nothing was going to change that foot pursuit policy. Nothing was going to change that foot pursuit. No policy the CPD was ever going to put in was going to change it. And I would bet most, if not all of them from around the country would not stop that. And I bet you if you put that to a vote in Chicago in a referendum, vast majorities of Chicago would want that foot pursuit policy to continue. I don't understand people saying you got to just let people go that shoot at cars with occupants in it. I just don't understand.